What's up everyone, welcome back, happy new year. Hope everyone's starting off the year on a good note. So I'm going to give you guys an update on where I've been at, where the 350Z's been at, what's all been done to it, and the plans for the new year. So let's go. Sit. Alright, there she is. So before we get going, gotta check the oil real quick. If you own a 350Z, particularly a DE, you know the struggles. So right now I'm about to head over to a parking garage so that way I can give you guys a little walk around of the car. So I'll be honest, it's been a long time since my last video. I ended up just kind of falling off. I ended up doing a bunch of suspension work to the 350 and I wanted to film the entire thing, but eventually it just ended up being a lot bigger project than I had expected. And since the Z is my daily, it ended up being more about getting the project done than just stopping and filming the whole thing, even though I would have liked to do that. But it's back now. So I ended up replacing the lower control arms in the front and also putting in white line solid bushings. And I did the same with the compression rod bushings. I replaced the outer tie rod ends, adjustable upper control arms as well. And in the back, I just did the rear camber arms. Rear camber arms actually weren't that hard. It was honestly about a half an hour job, but it was the front that was the really big project. At the time, I was working every day, so my time spent working on the car was mostly late at night, and then I had to get up early the next day anyways. So it was really exhausting. And I actually have a daily, it's a Mitsubishi Eclipse, but at that time I had the 350Z up on jack stands, and then the Eclipse started overheating, so I was left with no car. And that really sucked because I would end up having to either get a ride from somebody to work or just riding my bike or my skateboard all the way to work, which was about 12 miles each way at the time. So doing all that took a while and it took a lot out of me. So by the time I would get to work on the car, I was pretty much exhausted. But I had a friend who helped me with it. He was really knowledgeable about cars. He actually taught me a lot. And the project, while it was frustrating, it did teach me a lot more about the 350Z and cars in general. So I was really thankful not only that he took the time out of his day to come help me work on my car, but also that he taught me a lot about it. And although it was a very frustrating experience, it was also a good learning experience as well. And I'm definitely a lot more knowledgeable about the car now than I was before. And that's kind of the reason why I got a car that I wanted to work on in general, so that I would learn a lot more about it and become a lot more knowledgeable. So I'll give you guys a quick walk around of the car. So we'll do a quick walk around of the car. So the very first thing that I changed on this car when I bought it was the wheels. I actually had changed them to a different set of wheels than these, but when I bought the car, it had some big 20-inch wheels on it, and the chrome plating on the wheels was actually chipping off, and it was starting to melt, which actually caused the tire to not be able to hold any air. So I knew I had to change those. So I had originally went with some XXR 968s, which were a work equip rep, and I ran those for about a little over a year, and they were 18 by 9 plus 22 in the front and 18 by 10.5 plus 20 in the back, which was almost flush. It could have been a little more aggressive to get it completely flush. I actually got these wheels. These are some Ray's Gramlite 57 Maximums, and they're 18 by 8.5 plus 33 all around. And I eventually went with these because they're exactly the same specs as the OEM track editions, except these are 8.5 all around, which is the same specs as just the rears of the track editions. I figured I would rather run a square setup rather than a staggered setup. As lame as it sounds, I went with the square setup just so I could have the option of rotating tires. A little more functionality since this is a daily driver. I picked these wheels up from a guy who had them just for rollers for his 240. And he traded me for my XXRs, so that was a pretty good deal in my opinion. XXRs for some Rays. I went with these Nitto Motivos, which are an all-season high-performance tire. I chose these because I wanted them to last a long time, because I do drive a lot. I actually drove from Las Vegas to San Antonio, Texas, and I was living there for a couple months. I've heard good reviews, they last a long time, and they're fairly smooth ride, quiet ride. They don't make a lot of noise. These are a 245/45 18, which is the stock tire size for the rears on the track edition. So I think it looks pretty good. The car is actually not completely slammed, so I figured with the 45 sidewall, it fills up the fender gap pretty nice. Fairly good fitment. It's not completely flush, as you can see. I was able to get the alignment in pretty close to specs, so I'm not going to be wearing out tires as fast. Since this is a daily and I do drive it so much, I can't run excessive camber. I've been debating on buying another car as a daily. Maybe then I'd be able to run a more aggressive setup. But for now, I like how this looks. I did want the OEM track editions, but I think these are better than them. I was actually able to polish these so that they're nice and shiny. I might go with the grittier compound so I can get some of the water spots off, but for now they're a big improvement from when I originally got them. So apart from that, I got the raised center caps, which I think make the wheels pop a little bit more. When I got them, there were no center caps, so I think these look a lot better. Cover the hub. I also went with some blue lug nuts. They're made of steel, so I think they should last a lot longer than a lot of the aluminum ones that they sell. And I went with blue just because I like the color. Moving on. The second thing I changed on the car when I bought it was the headlights. When I bought the car, it actually had some eBay Halo headlights, and so I wanted a more OEM look. These are OEM headlights off a 2007 350Z. My car is a 2003, so if you know about 350Zs, the 03 to 05 don't have the projectors, and the 06 to 08 have the projectors in them. So I wanted to go with a more modern look, and I picked these up off a guy who actually had some aftermarket headlights on his Z, so he had these just lying in his garage taking up space, so I got a pretty good deal on them. And I'm also running 8000K HIDs, so they're really bright and they have a slight blue tinge to them, not too blue, like 10,000 and up. I think they give it a nice look. The third thing I did was lower the car. It's actually lowered on Eibach Sportline springs and Tokiko Blue shocks. So I went with the Sportlines because they have one of the lowest drops of all the springs. I know there are some springs that drop it lower, but those are usually cheap, not as good a quality as the Eibachs. I know coilovers would have more adjustability, and that might be something I'll do in the future. But for now, I like the drop the springs gave me. I've been running these about a year now. They ride pretty nice, and the Tokiko Blue shocks are pretty stiff, a little bit stiffer than the stock ones. So the next thing I did was change the exhaust. So these are ISR blast pipes, and I went with these just to do something a little bit different. You know, a lot of people have the Tome, the agency power. I was actually looking at those, but when I heard that ISR was coming out with blast pipes for the 350Z, I kind of had to have them. And I was actually one of the first, if not the first 350Z to have these on my car. Before that, they came out with these blast pipes for the 240SX. A lot of people had them on there, and once they came out with them for the Z, I hopped on it because I knew it would be something a little bit different from what everyone else was running. After that, I kind of ran with the same setup for a while, but then noticed it's a common problem on a lot of 350s that the lower control arm bushings get blown out, and it causes the steering to kind of wobble, not feel as tight as it should. So I decided to go with some white line control arm bushings, and I decided while I was down there I might as well do pretty much a lot of the front suspension. So when I took out the lower control arms, I noticed that not only the bushings were blown, but the control arm itself was worn down. So I ended up getting some new OEM ones. Since I already had the bushings purchased, I decided to take out the bushings that came with the OEM control arm and put in the white line bushings. That way I would have a lot tighter steering than OEM. So while I was down there, I changed the outer tie rod ends, the ball joints, the compression rod bushings, and also I put in adjustable upper control arms as well. So that way I could get the alignment dialed in just right. I didn't do that much in the back, I just changed the camber arms to adjustable camber arms from Z1 as well. So pretty much the most recent thing that's done to the car, besides the wheels and tires, is the carbon fiber hood. Now this is a Cybon hood, and I actually picked it up in Houston, Texas. Apparently, according to the guy that I got it from, he had bought a DE hood, but his was an 07, so it had the HR motor, and so it didn't actually fit his car. And I got a really good deal on it. I actually, from day one when I bought the 350Z, I always wanted a carbon fiber hood, and I actually didn't think I'd be able to get it so soon. So when I saw this one posted up for sale on Facebook, I hopped on it right away, hit the dude up, and then went out to Houston to go get it. Also included a carbon fiber under tray and a scoop for the bumper. I haven't put that in because I'm planning on getting a new bumper for the 350, so that should be coming later on. So pretty much the last thing that's changed on this car since I've gotten it is this Nismo shift knob. If you can see, it's also carbon fiber. If you watched one of my previous videos, you saw that I have a Dragon Ball shift knob as well. I still have that in case I want to change it back, but I kind of thought the Nismo shift knob was just kind of more of a simpler touch. When I actually bought the car, it came with a Momo shift knob, which was a universal one. So there was a little bit of play in it with the rubber adapters. It wasn't too big of a deal, but it was just a slight annoyance. So I really prefer just a screw-on shift knob. You know, it stays in place, doesn't move at all when you're shifting, and just in general a lot simpler and cleaner. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've changed within the year and a half that I've owned this car. There's still a lot more room to grow, and I have a lot of plans to change it. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and if you want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram will be down in the description. So thank you a lot for watching, I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you again. So have a nice day, and I will see you next time.